In the summer of 1847, deep in the untamed wilderness of Montana Territory, a former slave-turned-frontier nurse named Clara Washington pulled a 12-year-old Cherokee boy from beneath a fallen pine tree as a massive grizzly bear circled just 20 feet away, using nothing but her medical knowledge, a pouch of dried herbs and courage that seemed to flow from some unshakable well within her soul. 3 days later, when Chief Standing Wolf and 47 warriors of his displaced tribe rode into her makeshift medical camp and knelt in the dust before her, pledging their eternal loyalty and protection to the woman who had saved their future leader, Clara realized that her act of instinctive compassion had bound her to something far greater and more dangerous than she could have ever imagined. The sacred bear claw necklace they placed around her neck felt heavier than iron shackles, but unlike the chains of her past, this weight was one she would learn to carry with honor. Clara Washington had spent her life healing broken bones and fevered bodies, but she was about to discover that her greatest calling lay in mending the wounds between peoples who had forgotten they shared the same struggles for freedom and dignity. Clara Washington knelt in the center of the Cherokee village, her hands still trembling from exhaustion. The bear claw scars on her forearms throbbed beneath torn fabric. Around her, 47 warriors pressed their knees into the dust. Chief Standing Wolf stepped forward. His weathered face carried the weight of 1,000 displaced sunsets. The sacred necklace in his hands caught the firelight like captured stars. The bear claws felt cold against Clara's neck, heavy as judgment. The chief spoke in Cherokee, each word falling like stones into still water. She understood none of it. She understood all of it. The warriors rose as one. Their eyes held something Clara had never seen directed at her before: reverence, the kind reserved for something sacred. Her heart hammered against her ribs. What had she agreed to? 3 days earlier, Clara had been mixing feverfew and willow, bark for Mrs. Henderson's twin boys, when the scream started, sharp, desperate, coming from the pine forest that pressed against the settlement like a green wall. She grabbed her medical satchel. The leather was worn smooth from 1,000 emergencies. Inside, beneath rolls of bandages and bottles of tincture, lay folded papers that could hang her. Maps, safe house locations, names of conductors who moved, human cargo north toward freedom. The screaming came again. Closer. Clara ran toward the sound. Pine needles crunched beneath her boots. The forest smelled of resin and something else. Something wild and dangerous. She found him pinned beneath a massive fallen pine, a boy, maybe 12 years old. His dark hair was matted with blood, his leg twisted at an angle that made Clara's stomach clench. 20 feet away, a grizzly bear paced back and forth. Its coat rippled over muscles that could crush a man's skull. The animal sniffed the air, tasted blood. Clara's hands moved without thought. She pulled dried sage from her satchel, struck a match. The smoke rose thick and acrid. Bears hated the smell. Her grandmother had taught her that, back when her grandmother still drew breath. The bear's massive head swung toward her, eyes like black stones. It huffed once, twice, then lumbered deeper into the forest. Clara dropped beside the boy. His pulse fluttered beneath her fingertips like a trapped bird. She examined the leg, broken but cleanly. The pine trunk had to weigh 300 pounds. She wedged her shoulder beneath the trunk, pushed until her muscles screamed. The wood shifted. 6 inches. Enough. The boy's eyes fluttered open as she dragged him clear. He spoke in a language she didn't recognize. Liquid syllables that sounded like water over stones. Cherokee. Had to be. Clara's breath caught. Treating a Cherokee boy violated every federal law she could name. The territorial governor had made his position clear: settlers only, no aid to hostiles. But the boy's pulse was growing weaker. His skin was turning the color of old paper. Clara began to work. She splinted the leg with pine branches, cleaned the head wound with whiskey that burned her nostrils. The boy drifted in and out of consciousness. When she finished, Clara carried him to her camp. He weighed nothing, like carrying morning mist. For 3 days, she nursed him, fed him, broth made from wild onions and prairie herbs, changed his bandages, listened to him speak words she couldn't understand but somehow felt in her chest. The boy looked at her scars from the bear claws, touched them gently. His eyes widened with something that might have been recognition. On the third morning, Clara woke to the sound of horses. Many horses. Cherokee warriors sat motionless on painted ponies. Their faces were carved from granite. At their head rode a man whose presence seemed to bend the air around him. Chief Standing Wolf dismounted. He walked to Clara's fire, looked at the boy who was now sitting up. Color returned to his cheeks. The chief spoke one word. Ayana. The boy answered in Cherokee. A long stream of words, punctuated by gestures toward Clara, toward her scarred arms, toward the forest where the bear had been. Chief Standing Wolf's eyes fixed on Clara. She felt measured, weighed, found wanting or worthy. She couldn't tell which. The chief raised his hand. Every warrior dismounted. They knelt. Clara's world tilted. In all her years of bondage, no one had ever knelt to her. In all her years of freedom, no one had ever looked at her the way these men did now. The sacred necklace settled around her throat like a promise. Or a chain. She couldn't tell the difference anymore. Chief Standing Wolf placed his hand on her shoulder, spoke in English this time. You are bear speaker now. We protect you. You protect us. Clara nodded because words had abandoned her, but deep in her chest, something cold began to grow. Protection meant obligation. Obligation meant exposure. And exposure meant the papers hidden in her medical satchel would see daylight. The Underground Railroad depended on her silence, her invisibility. Now she belonged to a people who saw her as salvation itself. The bear claws pressed against her, collarbone. Heavy as judgment, sharp as the choice she would soon have to make. The old Cherokee woman's fever broke at dawn. Clara pressed her palm to the weathered forehead, cool as river stones. Around the hidden camp, smoke from cook fires drifted between canvas shelters like prayers made visible. Clara packed her medical supplies. The secret papers rustled beneath, bandages and bottles, maps that could save lives, or end them. Chief Standing Wolf watched from beside his teepee. His presence felt like standing too close to a forge. Hot, dangerous, necessary. You return tomorrow, he said. Clara nodded. The bear claw necklace shifted against her throat. Some promises were heavier than others. The ride back to the settlement took 2 hours. Clara kept her horse at a steady walk. Rushing drew attention. Attention drew questions. Questions drew nooses. Dr. Edmund Cross waited outside her medical tent. His coat was too fine for frontier work. His hands too soft for real healing. Envy clung to him like morning frost. Busy lately, he said. Clara dismounted, tied her horse to the hitching post with movements that betrayed nothing. Fever season. So I hear. Cross stepped closer. His breath smelled of whiskey and disappointment. Treating all manner of folk. The words hung in the air like smoke from a distant fire, warning of something burning. Clara met his eyes, held them. Sickness doesn't ask permission. Cross smiled. The expression never reached his eyes. Neither does the law. He walked away, with the careful steps of a man carrying secrets. Clara watched him go, her hands steady, her heart hammering against her ribs like a caged bird. Governor Marcus Whitmore arrived 3 days later. His carriage kicked up dust clouds that settled on everything like a curse. Federal marshals flanked him, men with eyes like winter and guns that had tasted blood. Clara was treating Tommy Morrison's broken wrist when Whitmore entered her tent. The boy's mother clutched his good hand. Fear made her grip white-knuckled. Mrs. Morrison, Whitmore said, perhaps you could give us a moment. The woman fled, dragged her son behind her like salvage from a burning house. Whitmore studied Clara's medical supplies, picked up bottles, read labels. His fingers moved with the precision of a man accustomed to finding what he sought. Impressive operation, he said. Clara continued cleaning her instruments, water and soap. Simple motions that kept her hands from shaking. "The territorial government appreciates your service," Whitmore continued, "healing the sick, mending the broken." He paused, "Following the law." The last words fell like stones into still water. Ripples spread outward. Clara set down her scalpel. "I treat who needs treating." "Of course." Whitmore's smile was all teeth. "Though some patients present particular complications." He moved closer. Close enough that Clara could smell pomade and ambition on his skin. "The Cherokee have been troublesome lately," he said, "raiding supply lines, harassing settlers. We believe they're hiding something valuable in those mountains." Clara's face revealed nothing. Years of bondage had taught her to wear stillness like armor. "Gold," Whitmore said, "enough to fund their resistance for years." He studied Clara's reaction, found only silence. "Help us locate their camps," he said, "and we'll ensure your medical practice remains protected, profitable, legal." The offer hung between them like a blade balanced on its edge. Clara folded a clean bandage, her movements precise, controlled. "I don't know anything about Cherokee camps." Whitmore's eyes narrowed. "Don't you?" Before Clara could answer, Chief Standing Wolf emerged from behind a supply crate. His presence filled the tent like smoke from burning cedar. Clara's breath caught. How long had he been listening? "Governor," Standing Wolf said. Whitmore's hand moved toward his pistol, stopped when he saw the chief's empty palms. "We came to thank the medicine woman," Standing Wolf said. "She saved my grandson's life." "Your grandson?" Whitmore's voice carried the sharp edge of a man realizing he'd been played. Standing, Wolf placed his hand on Clara's shoulder. The gesture looked ceremonial, protective. It was both. "Bear Speaker belongs to two worlds now," the chief said. "Yours and ours." Clara felt the weight of his words, the terrible mathematics of divided loyalty. "She knows our ways," Standing Wolf continued, "our secrets." His eyes found Clara's. In their depths, she saw something that made her pulse quicken. Knowledge. He knew about the papers, the routes, the midnight passengers who moved north toward freedom. "We trust her completely," Standing Wolf said. The words were meant for Whitmore, but they were spoken to Clara, a question wrapped in a statement. Whitmore stepped back, his face flushed with frustrated ambition. "This conversation isn't over." He left with his marshals. Dust swirled in their wake. Standing, Wolf waited until the hoofbeats faded. Then he spoke in Cherokee to someone Clara couldn't see. A young warrior emerged from the shadows. In his hands were Clara's medical supplies, the real ones. The papers were gone. "We moved them," Standing Wolf said. "Before the soldiers came." Clara stared at him. "How did you know?" The chief's weathered face might have held the ghost of a smile. "Same way you knew to help a Cherokee boy. Some truths don't need words." He handed Clara a new set of papers. Maps drawn on deerskin, routes through mountain passes she'd never seen. Safe places marked with symbols that looked like ancient prayers. "Your railroad," he said. "Our mountains. Together we can move many people to freedom." Clara's hands trembled as she took the maps. The bear claw necklace seemed to pulse against her throat. "Why?" she asked. Standing, Wolf looked toward the mountains, toward the hidden camps where his displaced people clung to survival. "Because the hunted recognize each other," he said. "And sometimes the only way to stay free is to help others find freedom." Clara nodded. Understanding passed between them like current through deep water. She was no longer just treating individuals. She was healing the wounds between peoples who had forgotten they shared the same enemy. The alliance was forged. But Clara could feel storm clouds gathering on the horizon. Dr. Cross had been watching, listening, waiting, and Governor Whitmore was not a man who accepted defeat with grace. 5 days. That was all Clara had left before Governor Whitmore expected his answer. The ultimatum sat in her chest like a stone. Lead him to the Cherokee settlement, or face charges for treating enemy combatants. She mixed willow bark tea for Ayana's fever. The boy's breathing came in shallow gasps. Pneumonia, the kind that killed children before their parents could say goodbye. Clara's hands moved through practiced motions, but her mind calculated distances, escape routes, the mathematics of survival. Ayana's fever spiked to dangerous levels. His lips turned blue. Clara faced a choice that would expose everything. Use her advanced medical knowledge to save him, or watch Chief Standing Wolf's grandson die to protect her cover. She chose the boy. Clara prepared a steam tent using techniques she'd learned from a Philadelphia doctor. Eucalyptus oil smuggled from California. Breathing treatments that would raise questions she couldn't answer. Dr. Cross appeared at her tent entrance like a bad omen. His eyes cataloged every detail, the precise measurements, the expensive oils, the knowledge that belonged to trained physicians, not frontier nurses. Remarkable technique, he said. Clara continued her work. Steam rose around Ayana's small form. His breathing eased by degrees. Where did you learn such methods? Cross asked. Books, Clara said. Expensive books. Rare books. Cross stepped closer. Books that cost more than a traveling nurse could afford. The accusation hung in the air like smoke from a signal fire. Cross left without another word. But Clara knew he would return, with questions, with authorities, with the kind of attention that got people hanged. That night, Ayana's fever broke. Clara sat beside his sleeping form. The bear claw necklace felt heavy against her throat. She fingered the leather cord. Wondered if Chief Standing Wolf had chosen it for its weight, a reminder of burdens freely accepted. The necklace shifted in her hands. Something hard pressed against her palm. Clara examined the largest claw more closely. A hidden seam ran along its length. She pressed gently. The claw opened, like a prayer book. Inside, carved into the hollow interior, lay a map, not drawn on paper or hide, etched directly into the bone. Lines that looked like scratches revealed themselves as careful markings, trails, landmarks, secret passages through the mountains. But these weren't routes to Cherokee gold. Clara recognized the symbols from her underground railroad training: safe houses, water sources, escape routes. The map showed a vast network of caves, natural tunnels that ran for miles beneath the mountains, the perfect hiding place for freedom seekers, a station that could shelter hundreds. Clara's breath caught. Chief Standing Wolf hadn't just formed an alliance with her. He'd been testing her, measuring her worthiness to receive the greatest gift his people could offer: the location of the ultimate underground railroad station. The tent flap rustled. Standing Wolf entered without sound. He looked at the open claw in Clara's hands. Nodded once. "You understand now," he said. Clara closed the claw. "How long have you known?" "Known what? That you move people north? That you risk everything for strangers?" Standing Wolf sat beside Ayana's sleeping form. "Since the day you saved my grandson." He touched the boy's forehead. Fever gone, breathing clear. "No one risks their life for a Cherokee child without understanding what it means to be hunted," Standing Wolf said. Clara felt the weight of recognition, of being truly seen. "The ceremony," she said, "the sacred ritual, was real, but it was also practical." Standing Wolf's weathered face held something that might have been amusement. "My people have survived by knowing who to trust. You passed every test." Clara thought of the warriors, kneeling in the dust, the reverence in their eyes. What if I had failed? You wouldn't have saved Ayana in the first place. The simple truth of it settled over Clara like morning mist. She had been chosen not for her medical skills, but for her character, for the courage that made her run towards screaming instead of away from it. "Governor Whitmore knows about the caves," Standing Wolf said. Clara's blood chilled. How? Dr. Cross has been watching, listening. He told Whitmore about your advanced medical knowledge, about the Cherokee boy you've been treating. Standing Wolf leaned forward, firelight carved shadows across his face. Whitmore has captured 3 of your railroad conductors. He'll execute them if you don't lead him to our settlement. Clara's hands clenched. The bear claw pressed into her palm. He wants to use you to find the caves, Standing Wolf continued, to destroy the railroad and claim Cherokee land. The impossible choice crystallized before Clara. Betray the Cherokee to save the conductors, or let innocent people die to protect the greater mission. There's a third option, Standing Wolf said. Clara looked up, found steel in his eyes. We give him what he wants, but not what he expects. Standing Wolf explained his plan. It was dangerous, possibly fatal. It required Clara to trust completely in the wisdom of a people she'd known for less than a week. Clara fingered the bear claw necklace, felt the hidden map against her skin, freedom routes carved in bone, escape passages that could shelter generations of people fleeing bondage. I'll do it, she said. Standing, Wolf nodded. Tomorrow, you tell Whitmore you'll guide him to our settlement. And then? Then we discover what kind of justice can exist when the hunted stop running and stand together. Clara spent the night memorizing the map carved in bone. Every trail, every landmark, every sacred place where people could find shelter from the storms of an unjust world. When dawn broke, she was ready. Dr. Cross waited outside her tent. Governor. Whitmore sat his horse like a man who owned the horizon. Federal marshals flanked him. Their weapons gleamed in morning light. Decision time, Whitmore said. Clara met his eyes. I'll take you to the Cherokee settlement. Whitmore's smile was all teeth and ambition. Excellent choice. But Clara had already made her real choice. She would stand with the Cherokee, protect the Underground Railroad routes, face whatever. Consequences arose from choosing justice over safety. The bear claw necklace pulsed against her throat. Not a burden anymore. A promise. She was no longer just Clara Washington, traveling nurse. She was bear speaker, bridge between worlds, guardian of secrets carved in bone. The final test was coming. Clara led the procession through mountain passes that cut the sky like knife wounds. Governor Whitmore rode beside her. His presence felt like standing too close to a rattlesnake. Dangerous, unpredictable, ready to strike. Behind them, 12 federal marshals followed in formation. Their horses kicked up dust that settled on everything like ash from a funeral pyre. Dr. Cross brought up the rear. His eyes never left Clara's back, watching, measuring, waiting for her to reveal something he could use. The Cherokee settlement appeared at midday. Canvas shelters arranged in careful circles. Cook fires sending smoke signals toward heaven. Women grinding corn while children played with carved wooden toys. Too perfect. Too peaceful. Too much. Like what Whitmore expected to find. Chief Standing Wolf emerged from the largest teepee. His face revealed nothing. Behind him, 47 warriors arranged themselves in a loose semicircle, their hands empty, their eyes watchful. Governor, Standing Wolf said. Whitmore dismounted. His boots hit the ground with the authority of a man who believed he owned whatever he touched. Chief, we need to discuss your recent activities. Of course. Standing Wolf gestured toward a circle of stones arranged for council. But first, a question of law. Whitmore's eyes narrowed. What question? Territorial Statute 127. Medical treatment for indigenous peoples. Standing Wolf's voice carried the cadence of a man who had memorized legal documents. Clara Washington has been providing lawful medical care to my people. Dr. Cross stepped forward. His face flushed with professional jealousy made public. She's been treating hostiles, providing aid to enemies of the territorial government. Enemies? Standing Wolf's eyebrow raised a fraction. Or patients? The question hung in the air like smoke from burning sage. Clara felt the moment balance. On a knife's edge. This was it. The confrontation that would determine everything. She stepped forward. Into the space between two worlds. "I stand with the Cherokee," she said. The words fell like stones into still water. Ripples spread outward. Whitmore's hand moved toward his pistol. "You're under arrest for providing aid to enemy combatants." "Under what authority?" "Standing?" Wolf asked. "Territorial law. The same territorial law that grants indigenous peoples the right to medical treatment?" Standing Wolf smiled. It was not a pleasant expression. "I believe we should let the courts decide." Whitmore's face darkened. "There won't be any courts. You're all coming with me." "Actually," a new voice said, "they're not." Judge Harrison, Wade emerged from behind a supply wagon. His black robes looked strange in the wilderness. Behind him walked two territorial prosecutors and a court clerk carrying official documents. Clara's breath caught. How had they gotten here? "Emergency, territorial hearing," Judge Wade announced, "to determine the legality of medical treatment provided to indigenous peoples." Whitmore stared. "This is impossible." "Chief Standing Wolf filed the proper paperwork 3 days ago," Judge Wade said. "Territorial law allows for emergency hearings when federal and territorial jurisdictions conflict." Dr. Cross stepped forward like a man walking toward his own hanging. "Your Honor, Clara Washington has violated numerous federal statutes. She's treated enemy combatants, provided aid to hostile forces." "Is that your professional opinion, Dr. Cross?" Judge Wade asked. "Yes." "And in forming this opinion, did you report patients to federal authorities?" Cross hesitated. The pause stretched like a rope finding its breaking point. "I reported suspicious activities." "Medical activities? Treatment of patients under your professional observation?" Cross's face went pale. "I did my duty." "Your duty as a doctor is to heal," Judge Wade said, "not to serve as a federal informant." The words landed like hammer blows. Cross staggered under their weight. "Medical ethics prohibit doctors from reporting patients to authorities except in cases of immediate public danger," Judge Wade continued. "Did you believe Clara Washington's treatment of a sick child posed immediate public danger?" Cross opened his mouth, closed it, opened it again. "No," he whispered. "Then you violated medical ethics. Your testimony is inadmissible." Whitmore stepped forward. His face was red as fresh blood. "This is a farce. A kangaroo court." "This is territorial law," Judge Wade replied, "which supersedes federal authority in cases involving indigenous medical rights." Clara felt the world shift beneath her feet. The trap had been sprung, but not on her. "Clara Washington is found to be in compliance with territorial medical statutes," Judge Wade announced. "All charges dismissed." Whitmore's hand fell to his pistol grip. For a moment, Clara thought he might draw, might try to impose his will through violence. Then he saw the Cherokee warriors, 47 men who had lived through displacement and persecution, who had learned to read danger in the set of a man's shoulders. Whitmore's hand fell away from his weapon. "This isn't over," he said. "Yes," Standing Wolf replied quietly. "It is." Whitmore and his marshals rode away like storm clouds seeking somewhere else to reign. Dr. Cross lingered. His career lay in ruins around his feet like broken pottery. "I was trying to do the right thing," he said. Clara met his eyes, found only emptiness there. "So was I," she said. Cross mounted his horse, rode toward a future that held nothing but the ashes of his own jealousy. Judge Wade approached Clara. His weathered face held something that might have been approval. "Remarkable case," he said. "First integrated medical hearing in territorial history." Clara fingered the bear claw necklace. "Will it hold?" "The precedent?" "Yes. You've established legal protection for medical treatment regardless of race." Judge Wade smiled. "Congratulations, Dr. Washington." "I'm not a doctor." "You are now, by territorial decree. First licensed indigenous medical practitioner in Montana Territory. Clara stared at him. Indigenous? Honorary tribal adoption carries legal weight, Judge Wade explained. You're Cherokee now, officially. 6 months later, Clara stood outside her new medical clinic. The sign read, Bears Promise Medical Station in 3 languages, English, Cherokee, and the coded symbols of the Underground Railroad. The cave network had become the most successful freedom route in the territory. Hundreds of people had passed through on their way to liberty. The Cherokee served as guides. Clara provided medical care. Together they had built something unprecedented, a model of what America could become when people chose unity over division. Ayanna ran up to Clara carrying a wounded rabbit. His leg had healed perfectly. His English had improved dramatically. Can you fix him? He asked. Clara examined the small creature. Broken wing. Treatable. We can try, she said. Chief Standing Wolf watched from beside the clinic entrance. His presence still felt like standing near a forge, but now it was warmth instead of danger. Sometimes the spirits send help in unexpected forms, he said to a visiting tribal delegation. Our job is to recognize it and be worthy of it. Clara smiled. She had learned to carry the weight of the bear claw necklace with honor, had discovered that her greatest healing wasn't of individuals, but of the wounds between peoples who had forgotten they shared the same dreams. The rabbit stirred in her hands, small, fragile, worth saving, like everything else that mattered in this broken world. And that is all to the story for now. Please let me know where you are tuning in from. Perhaps we will create a story there. Consider liking this video and subscribing to our channel, and if you enjoy our content, click this video on your screen. I promise you it's worth watching. See you tomorrow.